It up? Okay,
All
here we go. We're
right.
live. Let me
Cool.
start the Instagram.
Sure.
If
Hello,
this
everybody.
works.
If you are tuning into this live, I have got some good stuff for you. So we're getting ready to go live on Instagram, and once that gets going, we
All right.
will start.
We are live on Instagram.
So I'm here with my husband. I'm Kali Fontanilla. If you don't know who I am a former public school teacher of 15 years. My husband is also a former public school teacher of 3 years. And we decided to leave public education 3 years ago. I resigned from my tenured teaching position because of everything that I was seeing in our public schools in California and decided to expose it all online. And I had a private Facebook account. I was posting anonymously. I was just typing. I wasn't making any videos or anything. I was just writing about what was going on in my school with pictures. And from there, I started gaining a following because I was sharing everything that was going on in public schools in California firsthand as a public school teacher. And then 2020 happened. It was a crazy year. My husband and I both decided to resign from our teaching position, and the rest is history. Now we run our own school, and I have somewhat of a following online, but I have decided to put together something that I'm going to do with you guys hopefully every week. And that is everything that I've saved on my phone for the week. And it's going to be kind of news stories, commentary, probably some news stories you haven't heard yet, commentary, half vent session. And I think you're going to get a lot from this. So if you want to stick around with me on this live, but I'll also be posting it afterwards if you can't stay. And again, this is my husband, Joshua. So everything I saved on my phone this week, actually, everything I saved on my phone since Friday, because I was supposed to do this Friday, but it's now Tuesday of next week. But I think you guys are going to get a lot from this about what's going on in the world. I've noticed that people that are on the right, there's a lot of, venting about the left, but it doesn't really go so much into the news and what's really going on around the world. So I want to bring that for you guys. And also just some of my own personal commentary and venting about everything that's happened this last week. So go ahead and let's get it started, Joshua. What's the first thing?
I got the slides up. So some of these are going to be a surprise to me because these are you've created. You got all these saved.
Yeah, this is everything I saved on my phone. Yeah.
Yes.
So what I do is I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube,
On the news.
I'm on the news, and I just sometimes I'll screenshot stuff and I'll be like, oh, I'll make a video about this later, and then I don't. So I'm like, why don't I just put this all together and let's go over it all and let's talk about it. Let's hash this out, right? And so that's what I'm doing. I have a lot of stuff saved on my phone. And like this first story right here, Vermont Supreme Court grants school legal immunity after giving COVID vax to child without parental consent. So let me go into this a little bit. This was an elementary school student in Vermont. The school was giving COVID vaccines to the kids. And of course, they had to get parents' permission. Pretty soon, there are some laws being passed in blue states where they do not want to have parents' permission to, give your child a shot in the arm. So they were giving the COVID vaccine to the kids. And one of the kids where the parent did not sign the permission slip for them to get the vaccine, they gave that child the vaccine. And they eventually called the parents and said, hey, we had a mistake. We accidentally gave your child a shot. And of course, the parents were upset, like they should be. Because imagine if your child came home, you didn't want them to get, a shot. And that child tells you, Mommy, they took me out of class and they poked me in the arm. I mean, I'm sorry I'm laughing about this, but I mean, it's just that ridiculous. It's that crazy that even happened. So these parents decided to sue the school district. Well, the Supreme Court of Vermont decided to give them a immunity because of the PrEP Act. And if you guys don't know what the PrEP Act is they have been setting this stuff up for a while. It was passed in 2005. And basically what it does is it gives legal immunity for mistakes that are made during a time of emergency.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So you can just declare an emergency and get away with anything.
Exactly. So that means, and it includes vaccines. This happened in 2005. It's called the PrEP Act. You can look it up. And what it does is it makes it so that, we had to act in a place of of emergency. And so that's why there was mistakes that were made. So now we get immunity. So America, this isn't over. I know they've given us a break. They've given us a break from all of the pandemic craziness that happened, but it's not over. It was way too good for control. And that was just the test run. And what's happening in our public schools, we have to be very careful because especially in blue states, they are taking away parental rights rapidly. And that includes something like this, giving your child a vaccine without your permission. And that's part of the reason why Joshua and I opened up our own school. You can go to the next slide.
Okay.
I don't really share about our school that much, but it's thinkexodus.org. And this school is for parents that want to pull their kids from public schools. You want to share about it, Joshua?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great segue from that crazy story of what they did in Vermont. You want to avoid that happening to your kids. You think, oh, okay, well, there's permission slips and there are all these things, and you realize, like, man, you put your kids out of your sight, and these crazies will do what they want. But our school is designed to help parents who want to homeschool, but don't necessarily want to do all the teaching themselves, right? So if you want to keep your kids at home, you want to homeschool them, but you're thinking, hey, I don't know how to teach my kids advanced algebra or something like that. We have an online school that's fully accredited, K through 12, affordable in some states. There's vouchers available to pay for it as a possibility. But yeah, it's an online school. So we do all the teaching and all the grading and all that's done for you at home at your own pace with an online school, fully accredited, again, K through 12. So that's an option for parents who want to homeschool but don't necessarily want to do all the teaching themselves. And then we also have some additional like supplemental lessons that we provide that are like patriotic lessons and debunking the woke leftist lies. Because
they're taught by Joshua and I.
Yes, because your kids are going to hear it somewhere, even if they're not in public school. They're going to hear it from their friends. They're going to hear it from the media. They're going to hear it from somewhere. And so they need to learn the counter arguments. And so we provide that also. That's a separate program. So anyway, that's what we do.
I've had a lot of parents contact me and say, my child has changed since they joined. Oh, thank you, Courtney. My child has changed since they went to college. And the whole point of our enrichment program, our program that is the lessons that are taught by Joshua and I, which is only $20 a month, by the way. And then you can cancel anytime, you can try it out. And it's 5th through 12th grade. We have our fully accredited K through 12 program. And then we have our enrichment program that's taught by Joshua and I, and that's 5th through 12th grade. And I want to make sure that young people are prepared before they go into college to counter these arguments and that they're solid in the truth. And that's what we're teaching them in these counter lessons, like the real history of slavery in America, which is a complete history. We don't leave stuff out to paint narratives, right? Debunking Black Lives Matter. We have a lesson on that. We have a lesson on what happened in Venezuela and their socialism collapse. So, and they're also taught by Joshua and I, who are trained, credentialed teachers. And it's there's activities. I have 3 rules for staying out of poverty lesson where they learn how to create a budget.
Practical stuff.
So anyways, That's our plug for our school. You can check it out at thinkexodus.org. And thank you so much to all of you that know about our school, have shared about our school. And we also take donations if you feel called to donate, but that's our school. So thinkexodus.org. It's a labor of love for our country.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do not cherry pick facts like the left, which they definitely do. They like to leave out a lot of our history when they're teaching students about American history.
Yeah.
All right.
Next slide.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is something I saved on my phone. This is something that I have not seen a lot of people cover. And this could fundamentally change our country. So the Supreme Court,
I
want Joshua to talk about this.
I got some thoughts on this. Yeah.
So Biden is proposing a plan to completely rehaul the Supreme Court. Basically take away the Supreme Court's power is what they're trying to do. And bring in term limits. Supreme Court was never supposed to have term limits. So Joshua, go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
So, okay, so first of all, I want you guys to step back for a second and ask yourself the question, why would a lame duck resident, I like to call him resident. I don't like to call him
Resident.
I,
That's a good
I don't
one.
I don't like to call him the president
I
because
haven't heard that one, and you haven't shared
you
that
haven't
one
heard
with
that?
me.
Yeah,
No.
no, I refuse to call him president because
Uh-huh.
he's not
I
in my
call him our
eyes. But
installed
anyway,
senile in chief, but
yeah, exactly. But why would this lame duck resident propose this, something that obviously isn't going to happen right now? It's He doesn't control Congress, and the Dems don't control Congress. Why would you propose something so extreme, so unpopular like that? That is, I mean, regardless of what you think, we as conservatives, but majority of the country doesn't like the idea of doing this kind of crazy stuff to the Supreme Court. They want to just leave it as is. Independents and most Republicans, so the vast majority of the country, are going to not be happy with this. Why would he propose this just before the election? It's not popular. Why would you do it? It has no chance of happening, and it's not popular. So why would he do it? Well, my theory is, and you can tell me what you think too. My theory is that Jill, who's kind of the puppet master of of good old Joe, Jill and Kamala are not buddies, and it's well known that Jill did not get along with the Obamas. There's that friction there. So don't think just, oh, it's president and vice president, that they're just all buddy buddy. There's a power struggle, and we just saw it happen because Biden just got just got kicked out of being the candidate. Kamala just came in and just basically booted him out. So is this Jill's way of kind of sabotaging? Why else would you do something so unpopular right before an election? I mean, it's either that, or they don't care what the public thinks because, and I got to be careful what I say, but basically shenanigans are coming. So what do you think?
I actually disagree on that.
What do you
I
think?
do think that the Democrats want to take away power from the Supreme Court as it's
Well, they
stands.
want to, but
Yeah.
why would you bring it up now? That's my idea.
I think that
Like
it's going to
right
be
before an
something
election.
that Kamala is going to run with as well, and I think he's
Okay.
also trying to appeal to the more radical voter, which is now the standard Democrat voter. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's Joe's idea.
Yeah. I think it's Jill's.
I've been hearing a lot like AOC hates like they're trying to remove Clarence. They're trying to get rid of they're trying to get rid of some of these justices, and now they're trying to do it in a way where we have term limits, which is the Supreme Court is supposed to uphold the Constitution. They're not supposed to have a term limit. They're supposed to be unbiased and uphold the Constitution, and that is their sole purpose. But
no, yeah. It's a good point. So I mean, it's okay. So let's play it out. If this did happen, right? So just theoretically, if they were able to get this to happen, which I think is crazy, but let's say Congress comes in, because it'd have to be an amendment to the to the Constitution. They would have to amend the Constitution, but then this ethics panel would rule the Supreme Court, and they could get rid of any justice they liked. So it's a pretty crazy idea.
It is.
You're right that it goes to the extremes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on. All right, next one.
Oh, this is this is just the actual news article about the child COVID without parental consent. So we can go ahead and move on about that, just so you know it's not just a libs of TikTok headline. There's the actual news article.
You guys can screenshot that if you want. All right, moving on.
Oh, so I got demonetized on YouTube. And I don't make a lot on YouTube. I would say at average, I make about $200 a month with YouTube monetization.
Which, considering how big your following is,
there's people that have full-time. They have full-time jobs with a following less than mine on YouTube. But I also don't make long content, and I don't have a lot of sponsors or anything like that. I do have one that I'll share with you guys later. But I had to appeal to them because I was suspended from the YouTube Partner Program, and I had to appeal to them. I had to make a video basically telling them about my content and why I shouldn't be demonetized, because even though it's not very much I'm making, I still like that little $200, right? So so my appeal has been improved. So that's some good news, at least, that I got my appeal approved. But it took them a couple months, and they got rid of my super chats. They got rid of my super, I don't know what else they're called, super something thanks, or and so people weren't able to send me those or anything. So it's definitely a battle to stay uncensored on these platforms. I've been banned on TikTok 12 times. My Instagram has been in 90-day formal bans where they won't let anyone outside of my followers see my content. I've been, yeah, it's been definitely a battle to stay on these. I've had videos taken down, and most of my videos, when I do post them, they immediately get demonetized because they don't want videos that, you know, even though my whole account isn't demonetized, they'll still demonetize a lot of the individual videos. So anytime you guys share, you know, a little super chat or super thanks, those are always very helpful. But yeah, it's been a fight to stay on social media and stay on these platforms, but we're on a mission, and at least my appeal has been approved, which makes me want to do longer content on YouTube. And I feel a little bit of hope in that, because that means there was someone on the other end that probably wasn't a super diehard leftist and was like, okay, I'm going to give this girl a chance and not completely take her down. So
keep moving.
Yeah.
All right.
And then speaking of sponsor, I have one sponsor for this channel, and that is the Wellness Company. They have these kits that have 8 different prescription medications that you can get without a doctor's appointment. The Wellness Company, they have been so kind to conservative creators like myself. They stick with us. They sponsor us. They help us stay afloat. And this kit will treat over 30 different illnesses and conditions that would land you in the hospital. And we want you to try and avoid the hospital. And it also comes with a guide, and it has ivermectin. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but it has ivermectin in it as well. And it comes with a guide on how to use each of the medications. And my husband and I, we're in full-blown prepper mode. So I don't think this is the time to mess around and not have the supplies you need in case there is we've already seen this last 4 years, what they're capable of. And I think that's just the beginning. So make sure you have everything you need on hand, and including emergency medicine in case there's a, blackout, a tech blackout, and you can't communicate with the hospital or get to the hospital, or there's a natural disaster, or there's a pandemic again, and you don't want to go to the hospital because they'll make you be alone without your family members, and who knows what happened during that time. So this kit, you can get 10% off if you use my code Kali, and that's at twc.health/Kali. And Joshua, if you could put that up just for a little bit, just so people can know what it is. We'll probably take it down.
How do I put the...
It's like a banner, or I wish I don't have the way to...
Oh, yeah, I have it.
But anyways, you can go to twc.health. Yeah, there you go. And then you can use code Kali for 10% off. And you also support the channel when you shop through my link. And they have supplements as well. Really good supplements that I take. I'm a big fan of supplementation because we do not have, as much as we try to, we don't have a perfect diet. So we have to supplement. But anyways, that's my sponsor. They're so awesome to help me out, because it's really hard for us to, as conservatives, to get people that want to advertise on our channel. So, all right, let's move on.
And you don't do a lot of sponsors. So.
No.
Okay. Moving on here.
I thought this was interesting. I'm just going to talk about this briefly. This Alabama Democrat candidate, Andrew Heflin, he was arrested on 7 counts of unlawful use of absentee ballots. This is not fake news. This is not So here's the thing with the Democrats is if you remember 4 years ago, I'm not going to go super into this because they will take this video down, but their language was very careful. 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago in 2020, if you notice what they say, that there was no widespread voter fraud. They say that a lot. There is no evidence for widespread voter fraud. So not across... This is recent. This news is recent, by the way. Someone asked, when was this? And that's very specific language. So that what that means is that they can't deny that there isn't voter fraud in small pockets.
So it could be targeted in very specific swing state cities.
Yes. And you only need it to be in specific areas, right?
Yes.
So this guy right here was doing some shenanigans with absentee ballots, and he has been arrested because of it.
Wow.
And, one of Trump's policies is to really tighten up our elections. We need to have paper ballots. We need to have it all on one day and go back to how we used to do elections in this country. And yes, it does mean that some people may not be able to cast their vote, but they need to reorder their life to make it more of a priority.
Yeah.
Why are we accommodating people that don't care that much?
Yes, agreed.
They could be open from 6 a.m. to 12 at night. And all you got to do is get there and cast your paper ballot during that time. And I do think that there needs to be some accommodations for disabled people and stuff like that, but they need to show proof of that.
We do enough. I mean, considering how crazy this country is, if you ask me, we need to raise the standard for who's allowed to vote, but that's just me.
Yeah. All right, next one.
Okay, sorry.
This was interesting to me because when this last 20 days has been crazy because we're not allowed to say that Kamala Harris is a DEI pick.
Oh, yeah.
They hate that. They're like, Kamala Harris, you can't say that she earned that place. These people are freaking out if we say that she's a DEI pick. Yet, rewind to when Joe Biden was picking a running mate, and this is the headlines.
Yeah.
Biden says he is considering 4 Black women to be his running mate. You know what really makes me angry about all of this is, what about Asian women? I guess Kamala Harris is considered Asian too, so she checks that box.
Yeah, but she doesn't claim that part.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't. But I mean, what about people of other race besides Black? And same with the Supreme Court pit. Pressure goes on Joe Biden to pick a Black woman as his running mate. Biden says 4 Black women are on his list of potential running mates. Biden vows to select a woman as his running mate. So that is DEI.
It's textbook. She's the definition of a DEI hire.
When it means that you are not going to consider a white male, you are not going to, even if they're fully qualified, that is DEI. That is, wiping out the field for some people. You don't even get a chance, and then propping up another. In fact, I think right now, if you are a Black woman in America, you are probably one of the most, especially if you're left-leaning, you're probably one of the most privileged people. If you're not left-leaning, you're not Black, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. According to them,
exactly. Yeah. But if you are a left-leaning Black woman, you have doors open for you left and right. You have white leftists literally bowing down to you, which I've seen. And yet you can still claim to be oppressed, and you can still be mad when people even say that you could be a DEI person. And you know what? This was part of my awakening, because when I was in college, I was when I was getting my master's in education at UC Santa Cruz. And if any of you are from Santa Cruz, I was born and raised in Santa Cruz. I went to UC Santa Cruz. I was like the only person from Santa Cruz who went to UC Santa Cruz. And I got my master's of education there. And it was a really hard program to get into. And I think I had like a 3.2 GPA. I've never been that great of a student. Like, I just don't care that much about some of the stuff that these professors were trying to teach me. So I did enough. to pass the class, make sure my GPA was above a 3.0. And I had a 3.2. The average GPA for the program was 3.6 and above. 3.6 and above. I definitely had the lowest GPA I remember I sat down with my classmates and I sat down with them, and we all shared our GPAs and our process to get into the program, because it was hard. I think it was like 30 people out of like 3,000 or 4,000 people applying. And I had this one white guy, and this is when I was still on the left. So this was like 20 years ago. I had this one white guy go, "Oh, you only got in the program because you're Black." And I looked at him and I was like, "How dare you say that?" Because I had a 3.2 GPA, the lowest out of every single one of them.
He was pretty brave to say that to your face.
Yeah, he was brave to say that, but he was kind of like this, I don't know what I remember thinking he was a racist back then. I was left-leaning. I mean,
But he was
right. It was the truth. In fact, I remember in my essay, I totally pulled out the Black card. I was like, I pulled the Black card, and I got in as a DEI. And you know what? It does create resentment. It creates resentment on both
Yeah.
sides, because when you get
Yeah.
called out for it, they're like, I'm not a DEI. I'm totally qualified, when you're not.
And then the guy is annoyed because he had to get a higher GPA to get in. And yep. Causes all kinds of problems.
Yeah. So anyways, here's the proof that
Yeah.
it was a DEI hire. So, I mean, a DEI choice.
Yep. Okay. Moving on.
Yep. I don't check my messages that often. I thought this was a really cool thing to share with you guys. I don't check my messages on Instagram that often because I get a lot of hate. But when I do check them, I go back and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, whoa, especially when someone sends me a message and I realize that they have been sending me messages for a while. And there was one that was important. Well, about a year ago, little over a year ago, I found out about a woman who has 5 kids who was not able to get a kidney transplant because she didn't get the shot, the C19. So they took her off the kidney transplant list and they didn't let her get the shot. I mean, they didn't let her get her kid. She was dying, right? And this woman, Tracy, or one of my followers, told me about this, and I basically got the phone number of the facility, of the hospital that was denying her kidney transplant, and I made a video about it with the phone number, and I also gave people a script, because sometimes making those kind of phone calls are scary. You're just like, I don't really want to make this phone call. I know what that's like. So I gave people a script on what to say and call up this place outraged. And within 24 hours, they changed the COVID requirement.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was a big win.
This actually happened twice. I did this twice. This was when they were still doing that. And luckily they're not doing that anymore. But I just, the impact that you can make on social media, that, sharing about these stories. And this is why they want to silence us. And also seeing this for me has been really good, because this is not easy what I do. I don't enjoy it. I'm not someone that has ever wanted to be a conservative commentator. It's not like I want to, be a big, huge name in the conservative movement or whatever. But I've realized that every voice needs to speak up right now, and being reminded of what the kind of impact you can have when you do make that decision to speak up. So I just want to share that with you guys, because I missed this message that was sent to me, that they changed the requirement on the.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Oh, and so speaking of awful messages, this is the ones I've received this last week. You're on their side, bedwenchery pay, I suppose. They love calling Black conservatives bedwench. You're a bigot and a liar. That's why you're getting all the hate. I don't know if you owe the Russians money or something, and that's why you're lying. But if you do, I pity you.
People are creative. They have very fertile imaginations.
Kali is a white supremacist, the very definition of internalized racism, a groveling, supplicating shill.
The vocabulary is good.
Yes. And you know what? I think that Black conservatives get called white supremacists more than actual card-carrying white supremacists. And then this one, it's hard to read. You would do anything to be accepted by them. Pitiful. Anyways, so this is kind of what I'm dealing with in my messages. Part of the reason why I don't check them.
This is the stuff that Kali saves to her phone.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We can move on. Oh, this I thought was really stupid. This is the Harvard Business Review. U.S. firefighters are overwhelmingly white and male. Here's why that needs to change.
So crazy. So crazy.
What do you guys think? Do you think it needs to change? I'm like, I'm cool with that. Like, can we keep having the alpha white male be firefighters? Sure. Like, what do we don't need DEI firefighters? Like, let's not go there. We're already doing it with our pilots. Let's just stick with and you know what? If that's the career they gravitate towards, that's the career they gravitate towards. And like, why are they being condemned for that? Like, that's a good thing that we have a lot of white men who want to be firefighters. And thank you for doing that. It's not easy work.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
There's a reason why it's overwhelmingly white males, because there's a lot of us that don't want to do it. So God bless you guys. If you're a firefighter, God bless you. Like, anyways, we can move on from that, because that's just
All right, here
Pelosi,
we go.
President Biden should be added to Mount Rushmore. What do you think of that, Joshua?
President, yeah, this is it. It just shows, on the one hand, it's like, okay, this is insane. She's commenting on him dropping out, and so he's like the biggest patriot on the planet for dropping out. And
Oh, that was so cringe when that was happening.
apparently, he should be on Mount Rushmore because he was willing to drop out. So that's basically what this is. But it just shows that Democrats reward their people for obedience and for helping their agenda, whereas oftentimes on the right, people get thrown under the bus for being too conservative, or and rhinos do that kind of stuff all the time. And yeah, I don't know,
but that's something.
Obviously, this is insane, though. Yeah,
but there's something to be said about our side that we aren't such a monolith.
It's true. It's true.
And that's not how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to all put on masks, all believe there's more than two genders. All that's how it is. The left is. They're just like everyone. All think that abortion is healthcare. All think, you know what I'm saying? Like they all kind of step in line. Let's all unite behind Kamala. I mean, I can't even tell you how many blue hearts I've seen in the last like 20 days. They're like the blue heart cult. They're just like so into her. They're so happy, and they're so like. She doesn't even have any policy on her website. Like there's no policy. It's just asking for donations. She's never even done an interview since she's announced her running. But anyways, so that's where we're at. And our side definitely has more division because we're free thinkers.
Exactly. Anyways, and the people who do want everyone to be on the same page on the right are usually the people who are more on the rhino side, and they want conformity.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Total loony bin.
Yeah. Loony bin. Someone asked me, do I report these vile comments? I do report them, and they never come back as a violation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just let them abuse me.
Good question. Yeah.
This is something that I am not seeing a lot of people talk about. The Venezuela election that happened.
Yeah, it came on the news and then it disappeared. And it's like, what happened?
Maduro's still in power. Like they're done.
Yeah.
So the opposition party, they won. I mean, I don't even know if I can say this without being censored, but this, you can look at
it seemed like it was like a 30%. It wasn't even close.
Our school has a lesson on what happened in Venezuela, which is so good about because they used to be one of the most prosperous countries in South America.
They were like South America's USA,
yes,
like mini version. Yeah.
And in the 90s they had a communist revolution, pretty much, and everyone thought it was gonna be great. It started off as great. They gave universal basic income. The government took over. They did price control.
They nationalized everything. Yeah. By the way, full disclosure, that's when I was a leftist back. I was in college at the time. And I was so into Chavez. I remember having one of his like little pamphlet books and just be like, "Yeah, Hugo Chavez.
I'm so glad we never met when you were.
Isn't that crazy? We were both leftists growing up.
Yeah,
I mean, we grew up in California. We're both minorities. It's just kind of that's what everyone thinks, And it was like, yeah, he's gonna share the wealth of all the like oil money in Venezuela and give like free everything, and then. Shortly thereafter, the whole country falls apart. I'm glad I'm not a leftist anymore.
Yeah, and I definitely want to go into this more on my channel at some point because it's such a good lesson for what could happen to this country. And I know most of you have heard this saying that you can vote for communism in, but you can't vote it out. And
that's Venezuela right now.
Communism, yeah. And so what happened is now the opposition party, her name is Maria, I think Maria Machado, yeah. She's in hiding right now. At least the last I heard of. She's in hiding.
How it works.
She's afraid for her life. And apparently she overwhelmingly won. But then Maduro said, no, actually 51% of votes were for me and I remain in power. And then there was protests on the street and he started arresting the protesters.
Yeah.
Throwing them in prison, throwing them in high security prison. You are gone. And I think that's what they did here. They started it with January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
That was a warning. That was
a warning.
How
we just stopped protesting. That's what
there was. Someone. This isn't in the mainstream news either, but someone just got sentenced to 20 years.
Yeah,
was at January 6th, Now, mind
Yeah.
you, I think he was violent, but 20 years is very excessive.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, it is. I mean, he didn't kill anyone, and he wasn't like, I don't know exactly the specifics of his case, but he got 20 years in prison for what he did on January 6th. So that was a warning. There was that elderly woman that was basically walked in and walked out, and she got 60 days prison sentence.
Those are all warnings. Those are all
All warnings.
crazy,
Yeah. All
unconstitutional
warnings. Yep.
stuff.
20 years. So
Mhm.
let this be. I firmly believe that this is a gift. I mean, I feel sorry for Venezuela, but I also want people to see what can happen
Well, it's
in
a
this.
wake-up call for us.
Yeah, how quickly, because they brought in socialism. It was a capitalist country that brought in socialism,
Yep.
and how
And it was all
quickly it
over.
can completely destroy a country. And
Yep.
now, I mean, it is so sad there. What's the only thing that's saving that country right now is the American dollar. So if our American dollar collapses, then there's so many countries around the world that are going to really suffer. So we can move on from that. But yeah, that's
Okay.
Venezuela. Oh, this is another really awful story. You guys know about the Planned Parenthood story?
Oh yeah. Gosh, can we even talk about this one?
The video's been going viral, so I think that they're not
Yeah.
taking it down.
This is a horrible.
But
To
this really
me,
goes into
this one
Kamala's
story
character.
alone
Yeah.
should be enough to destroy her
Yeah.
candidacy.
True.
It would have like 10, 15 years ago. And
Yeah.
now it's like, it's not even in the news. But anyway, go ahead.
So basically, Planned Parenthood is using body parts of babies and selling them. And this guy, this undercover journalist, he pretended to be part of the center pretended to be part of a company that buys these parts. And video was released a while ago. This was like 5 years ago. This was a while ago, that showed some of the undercover footage that he took of Planned Parenthood people admitting that they do this. And instead of being praised as a hero for exposing this, he was, and just to make sure I don't get fact checked, because they are fact checking this.
Yes.
Kamala Harris started the investigation. She actually ended up going to the Senate before the charges were actually put on this man. So
Yes.
that's where they're fact checking you, because if you say that she's the one that pressed the charges on him, they'll say, no, that's a fact check. She didn't do it. It was the guy that was after her, right? But her office started the investigation to press the charges. So do not take this video down for that.
Yeah.
Like,
and then she
overlords,
she
whoever you
couldn't
are.
finish it, obviously, because she left her office as AG and went to the Senate.
But he has been fighting in court since then. This poor guy's life has been a nightmare since then for exposing the sale. Anyways, a new video has come out, and it's these girls at some sort of conference looking.
Yeah, that's the most recent one.
And it's more disturbing than the one that was released 5 years ago. And they're basically talking about how they're excited when they see full intact organs of the baby, and how, they're like, wow, we sound so evil doing this. And of course they look like DEI hires, just to be very clear on this. But
you have a slide on that as well as the next one, or
no, that's different.
Okay.
But anyways, so this story really exposes the character of Kamala Harris. I don't care if you are pro-life or pro-choice. You need to have this should be something that seems disgusting to you.
Well, she's a sociopath.
Yes.
You ask me. She's clearly like, it's power.
Yeah.
That there's, say what you want about Trump. Obviously, I don't agree with everything. Nobody agrees with anyone on everything. But even if you don't like him, the guy, like, he took a bullet for the country. Like, the guy is like losing money to run for office. He's being threatened with hundreds of years in prison. He's clearly he's had the same message for 40 years.
Yes.
The guy clearly is trying to do what he thinks, and I happen to agree with him, is going to help this country. Whereas Kamala, it's power. Like anyone who can look at that woman and look at her record and not see she's just clearly a power hungry sociopath. I mean, textbook definition politician who goes into office because they want money and power. That's her. There's no conscience there. I mean, you could just see it. And this story just illustrates it so clearly. I don't
It's
know.
pretty gross.
It's insane.
She also looks like Jar Jar Binks. Someone said that to me, and I can't unsee it. I can't unsee it.
I've heard that one too.
Yes. Okay. Let's go on to the next slide because that I thought this was interesting. I forget why. Oh yeah.
The White Woman Whisperer Mutual Support Group. What?
This is an example of Black leftist privilege. This woman who's mixed has a white parent. She has white women pay her and it's $5, and she has 3,000 members to teach them how to be good white women towards people of color, which I hate that.
Imagine if you did the opposite, just reverse the races. So
she recently did a video. And I was watching her stuff on TikTok. She recently did a video where she told white women that that just because there is a possible Black female president, you guys need to not stop doing the work. Now you guys think that you don't need to do the work, and you guys need to keep doing the work to like whatever they bow down to Black women, basically. So yeah, she's got 3,000 members of her White Woman Whisperer Mutual Support Group. And these are some of the comments on her video. She's like, could you explain do away with that? Do you mean like no longer do you want do what you were doing? I completely agree with what you said. I just want to learn. I just teach me.
These people are so pathetic.
And then the other one's like,
self-hate.
I didn't even consider the excitement could be from relief. Thank you for your POV. I promise not to stop working. Like these white women will literally
the self-hate. I mean,
her.
You want to talk about internalized racism? That is the real epidemic of internalized racism.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
White women in this country,
liberal
white women in this country have been. There's a large segment of them that have been brainwashed
white women
to hate themselves.
Yes.
It's crazy.
They feed
it's
each
so
other.
Sad.
Yes.
Yeah.
The liberal white women and liberal Black women, they feed each other. They're just like, it's really kind of a toxic relationship. I'm going to put that out there.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically I thought that was really stupid, but just the type of, this is just an example of like, imagine if there was a Black woman whisperer mutual support group and it was a white person trying to teach Black women on anyways, moving on.
How to be a good Black woman. Yeah. That would be on. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, this is this is near us. We live in Florida, and there was a huge rainstorm, and I just wanted to show you guys some of the all along the Gulf Coast. There was a rainstorm.
This wasn't our house, so we're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But we saw it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we're almost done. We got like maybe a few more slides. How many do we have left? You control.
Just a reminder, I want to bring this comment back because it.
Kamala Harris.
Joe Camel.
Oh, okay. So Kamala Harris and her asking for donations, man. So that you go to her website, that's all she has on her website is asking for donations. There's no.
Oh, so okay, go ahead. Sorry, you found the necklace.
Yeah. So there's no policy. There's nothing, right? If this doesn't scream dictator Kim Jong-un vibes, I don't know what it was.
Champagne liberals is what they call them, right?
Today is the day I hope you will donate. And she has a $62,000 Tiffany necklace.
That's great. I'm going to, just for a second, I'm going to make this bigger on the screen.
Yeah.
So you can see that. That's crazy. $62,000 necklace while she's asking for donations.
The thing is, I feel like, Trump, obviously, he's got a ton of money and he flexes his money. He earned that money, right? But these career politicians, these people that have been in,
it's all your tax dollars.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that I thought that was pretty disgusting, especially coming from Democrats that are so hypocritical. They're like, we're here for the poor people. We care about the poor people, but donate money to us and let me wear my $62,000 necklace. Like, yeah. Looks like a slavery chain. Yeah, that's true. Those are some good comments, man. Yeah. All right, next one. I was going to go into this. I feel like it's kind of an old story, but the only thing I really wanted to say on this.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah,
it might sue
she's
you.
suing people now. So that's part of the reason why I'm saying she. But
Yeah.
the interesting story about all of this is that the actual, how do I say this? The biological males that aren't hermaphrodites, which we're thinking this could be a hermaphrodite, right? That aren't hermaphrodites, they actually weren't allowed to compete this time around.
Yes.
And there's something to be said for that. Because during the Olympics 3 years ago, the weird pandemic Olympics, there was this trans athlete, Laurel Hubbard. Sorry. What that name too, Laurel. Sorry if your name's Laurel, but made Olympic history competing, and that same athlete couldn't compete this year because the rules changed. So there's something to be said about the fact that biological, the ones that were like, because there is. So I just wanted to make that point that there is some victories that have happened this last 3 years. Like,
it's better than it was.
We didn't see the swimmer, Leah Thomas, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the name. Yeah.
That person was banned from competing in the Olympics. So there is something to be said.
Yeah, the ones that were allowed in are the truly gray area, like 0.5%,
they failed the gender
if
test.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah.
So
that's something to think about. I think we need to make sure the rules are clearer than what happened.
I still don't think it's fair that these people were allowed to beat up on regular women, but it's better than the full blown, like what you said happened before. Yeah,
exactly. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm not going to go deep into this, and they'll take it down. So yeah, exactly. XY chromosomes. We need to make that clear. We need to includes XY chromosomes. So
exactly. Exactly. Okay, moving on.
Kamala Harris hasn't given a media interview in 17 days. I thought this CNN headline was so biased. Listen to this. Trump's campaign cranked up pressure on Harris to do a major media interview, hoping to goad her into a forum in which she's historically been vulnerable.
What, like having microphones in front of her and answering questions?
For our president?
That's crazy.
What about try to negotiate in Iran. Like, this woman can't do a major media interview, but we want her to be president.
It's just, Kali, that's not her strong suit. It's not her, cameras and questions. That's hard. That's hard.
Jar Jar Binks. Come on. You can't unsee it.
Yeah, Jar Jar. Yeah, seriously. I like the Joe Camel.
Yeah.
That is just, I mean, the level of propaganda. Please, people, can we not have this woman in the White House? Because I don't know if I can stand this level of propaganda for 4 years.
Oh, me neither. But you know what? We'll see. Yeah. All right. Next one. Oh, there's the AI image.
Okay, so here's my question on this. And I've seen this come up, and then I've seen it in different places. Like, who shared this?
Harry.
Is it?
So it's that one white kid that's
like their surrogate. It's not her campaign.
No, apparently, this is what I've heard is that.
But he's kind of paid.
He got. Oh yeah, absolutely. So, who knows? But they're trying to say that some of the images aren't AI, and that if you say any of her stuff is AI, then you're, doing fake news or whatever. But I thought it was funny. This one right here, the lady grows into their arm.
Yeah,
the image on the left, she has another. Where's that phone coming from?
I don't know. Well, you don't need AI if you do a Beyonce concert at the DNC.
Yeah,
so it's just like, all right. So can you fill a high school gymnasium without having a multi-platinum artist show up? That's what I want to know.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, there's the AI image. More on Walz. So Walz turned Minnesota into a sanctuary state for child sex changes. So what that means is that any state that banned children from getting a surgery that would mutilate their body, they can now go to Minnesota to get that sex change and it's a sanctuary state for them. So that means that if there's a law that's against in their home state, they will be protected in Minnesota.
Just insane.
Yes,
insane.
same with the doctors. He also turned his state into a destination for late-term abortions, a sanctuary state for that. And that's not just late-term abortions for medical necessity. That's different.
Elective.
This is elective late-term abortions. And he also made it so that they're no longer reported. So that means that we don't even know how many are being done in that state. And these are babies that are in the third term. And then he also provided free college tuition for undocumented students, so for illegals. I still am paying my student loans.
I know.
Like, this pisses me off. And then the period products, that also makes me mad because I can't tell you how many times in high school I needed a tampon or a pad, and like they weren't available in our schools. And the only time now they're finally stocking them is because they want to make sure that people that are bleeding in the boys' bathroom can have access to. I'm like, now you finally care about women, like young people high schoolers needing tampon products. Anyways, so they're trying to market this guy as a moderate. There's nothing moderate about this. That's all I wanted to say about this. This is not moderate stuff. This is like radical stuff. Radical. Yeah. And then again, I wanted to share something about Kamala that's not well known, that in California, when someone goes to prison, that taxpayers will pay for an inmate's gender reassignment surgery. And this was because of the work Kamala Harris did in California. She is the one that worked to make sure that prison inmates can have California taxpayers pay for prison inmates to get a sex change surgery. That's all I got to say.
Nuts.
I mean, it speaks for itself.
Just say that right there.
Yes. And a lot of people know about this, but she's bragged about it. It's on video. You can actually, this is the first one happened in around, it was a case where in 2015 of a prisoner male who wanted to become a female, and the state paid for his full-on surgery, which what they do to men down there is like, it's
horrible. I mean,
barbaric. It's barbaric. Yes.
And these people are going to be,
and California taxpayers are paying for it because
it's extremely expensive too. Extremely expensive.
So this woman is so creepy to me. I don't know how anyone's voting for her. And if you have someone that you know that's voting for her, send this video to them. Maybe this section. I might even edit this down to be just this section, because if they're still voting for her with this type of stuff, they need help. They need help. But anyways.
Okay.
I think we're almost done. I think this is like the last two, right? We're almost here.
Yep.
I thought this was interesting that Noah Lyles in the had COVID when he was running the 200-meter race. And if you guys this is so crazy to me, because when COVID first happened, what they were doing to people, now
I want to see the test, prove it.
For that. But anyways,
for him.
He was just allowed to he was hugging people. He knew he had it. He was hugging people.
Interview right after.
He was out on the field. His team knew, and no one is mad at him, right? But let's rewind 4 years when this man tested positive for COVID, didn't have any symptoms, went home, decided to not stay at home, and they sent an officer to station outside his home and kept him because he didn't self-quarantine. Made him stay in his home. Kentucky. Yes. So I just wanted to juxtaposition that.
Yeah. A cop outside your house to make sure you can't leave your house in Kentucky. That's insane.
And you know what the left is saying about this? They're just like, well, the virus isn't as bad, and it's not. We didn't know what we were dealing with. Well, that's how all viruses are. Like, you guys, we never know what we're dealing with in this country. It doesn't mean we have to act like crazy people.
I know.
You know? And we need to use common sense. And it's come out that they didn't help at all. The lockdowns, all of that stuff. I still can't say it, even though science has now proven us right? But without fear of being censored. So anyways, I thought that was interesting that he was just that no one's outraged about the fact that he just, I mean, you remember the COVID Olympics was very creepy. I mean, it was like, I didn't even watch it. I remember I couldn't,
Yeah, it's too
it
disturbing.
was like, yeah, it was like everyone was in masks. It was just weird. It was like, okay.
All quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to vent on Snoop Dogg earning $500,000 a day as an NBC reporter for the Paris Olympics when he's allowed to have a music video where he shoots a sitting president in the head.
Yeah, mocks
and,
it. Yeah.
And he's allowed to post on Instagram and call Black conservatives racial slurs. He had a post where he had Candace Owens and David Harris and other prominent Black conservatives and called him a racial slur and put a raccoon on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, if anyone on
no
the left,
problem.
If anyone on the right had done anything like that, he would be canceled 10 times over. But here's this guy earning $500,000 a day because he's got Black leftist privilege.
Yep. Do whatever you want.
Yes.
Nuts.
Yep.
Nuts. So this was fun. This was
I think there's one more slide.
Is there?
Yeah.
I thought you said 24.
That's it.
Yeah, you're right. There's your final slide.
I want to end on a positive note when we do these. Leave people with some positivity.
You know where he is right now?
Where?
His little head is on my knee, and he's in my lap.
So that's our dog Eli when he was a puppy. I have so many puppy videos. He's not a puppy anymore. He's a big boo-boo now. He's like giant. 17 pounds, but that was when he was about 2.5 pounds, and he was so cute. Yes. And that's Eli. And thank you so much. Those of you that stuck around for the full time, God bless you guys. Those of you that tuned in a little later, you can watch the full thing if you want. We go over everything I saved on my phone for the last week. News stories you may not have heard of. Share this with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And
we'll try and do this again next week.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. I already have a bunch of stuff. I could probably do it tomorrow. but God bless you guys. And we'll do this again soon.
Sounds good. Signing off.